Hello and welcome everybody to a new episode of Mentor Musings. I'm JC, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host Brett. And today we want to talk about a topic that I think is going to impact every single founder out there, and that is wellness. It's really challenging, Brett, to run a startup. You and I know, right? We've worked with founders. We are founders. There's so much that physically and mentally takes a toll on you day in and day out, and it really doesn't end. I think a lot of people expect that cycle to end once they've gotten their past their point of inertia, and once the venture's kind of running on its own, that it's more autopilot at that point. But I think in my experience, the stress, it has different outlets and different vehicles, but it does continue. So what we want to talk about today, everybody, or maybe what we want to advocate today, is how important prioritizing your personal wellness is, whether we're talking physical or mental health. So Brett, I'm curious, in your experience, is wellness something that founders tend to overlook, particularly in the earlier stages of launching their venture?
I think early stage, late stage, all stages, because I think, even recent history, kind of glamorizes the, I'll sleep when I'm dead, right? I'm going to get 2 hours of sleep and burn the candles from both ends. And it's just hustle, 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 hustle. And I think the data is now showing that that's not a good recipe for success. And we can kind of touch on some of the different areas, but I think, again, sleep is going to be one of the top priorities. And again, even listening to some really successful CEOs and founders talk about their journey, they think that the lack of sleep, or that downtime, the mental awareness, slowed down the growth of their company, even though they were successful, right? They're not as sharp as they could be if they're not getting the sleep. So I think it just comes down to the highly structured work. You have to put the time in. Yes, you're going to be hustling, but to your point, if you're not taking care of yourself, it's going to make it that much more difficult for you to grow your business.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely correct. So, I think this message that we're all trying to, that Brett and I are trying to put out there is yes, we care about you personally as founders, but there's also a very strategic reality and impact by not taking care of yourself, not the least of which is that, one of the things that we always talk about is time. Buy yourself as much time as possible. If you can extend your runway, as far out as you can see, your chances of success skyrocket, right? If that runway is shorter, then you've got to get smarter and craftier a lot more quickly. But wellness and your wellness is one of the key things that's going to extend that runway. So, I know personally, right? For me, I used to think of prioritizing mental wellness and even, exercise and all of that. I used to think that it was kind of an investment that I couldn't afford, that if I were putting an hour or 2 hours into working out or just spending time, meditating and reflecting and introspecting, that
Sleeping.
was yeah, right. Yeah. Sleeping, right. That was time that I couldn't spend elsewhere. But the truth is I found these things to be, what you could call keystone habits. One of the few activities, or some of the few activities, that by truly putting time in, there's a quantifiable return of time, energy, and effort that you're able to get out. So, I've found, and I've seen with other founders, that when you put an hour into sleeping, when you get an extra, hour workout in a week, or when you are able to spend a little bit of time just away and distance from your business, that compounds, that return compounds when you are able to go back. You're able to get so much more out of it. So it's one of the few things where it's important to do it no matter what, but you're actually positively impacting your venture directly by investing in those areas.
Yeah, no, 100%. And, one of the changes I made 18 months ago is to force some dedicated, deep work time, deep thinking time. People can joke, yeah, deep thinker, sure. But, but it's that work that you need to get done, that's uninterrupted, the flow state, as some folks like to call it. So I block like 6 a.m., 9 a.m., other than sometimes when we record, but that's when I get a lot of the work done, because again, going back to the science, the data shows that anybody, if you think you're putting more than 4 hours of really deep thinking type of work into a day, it starts to trail off. So you're not as effective, you're not as sharp. Now you can still get other tasks done like email, but if you think about how you're breaking your day out, and I know a lot of founders are just bounce, 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 and it's just putting out fires and you're never getting ahead. So I think part of it is the planning for yourself. Schedule those mental breaks. Make sure you schedule your your sleep into this process. And even if you just test it for 2 weeks, I think people would be shocked at how much more energy they have and how much more productive they are by taking a more structured approach. And I get it. There's times when things just blow up and you're not going to be able to do it. And again, just from my personal, what I've done is try to block off that morning. So if I can get my morning and even the late morning done, I've got a day's worth of work done. And whatever, if the day goes sideways after that, I'm still okay because I know I was productive for a piece of the day. Doesn't always work that way, but the closer I get to that, the more productive that it has been. So challenge everybody to think that way. And I think you also mentioned the dietary aspect of it. I like to eat, but again, it all comes back to energy and focus. And the last thing I'll say on this, and love to get yours, is get outside once a day. Just get outside. I don't care if you're Chicago, Alaska, it's cold, bundle up, just get outside, get that natural vitamin D, clear your head. Highly recommend that.
Yeah, I mean, especially, Brett, with the world that we've lived in over the last 16 months. I mean, this is, I guess, depending on what people are watching this. I mean, we're, in the 16th month of this COVID pandemic. And the reality is that's had a serious mental impact on all of us being shut in. So I would completely agree with you. Now is the time to be in nature and embrace nature and use that as an opportunity to reset and recharge. I would say this. I think your planning point is really spot on, right? I mean, if you want to really make this a part of a routine and make this something that you continue to do, make it part of your plan. I know for me, the thing that's I found to be most effective, and this is true, this is a piece of advice I give every founder, is prioritize the hardest things first, right? So when you're running your business, don't do the 9 easy things and then save the 10th hardest thing because you feel like you're building some sense of momentum. And that's especially true for early in your day. So what I like to do is every morning I like to row. I like to at least get 15 to 40 minutes rowing in. So at least I'm getting the blood pumping, and that always sets me up for the day. And I'm like, you know what? I've got that checked. I know I'm going to take care of my calls. I know I'm going to take care of my meetings. I know I'm going to mentor and meet with my mentees and all of that. But if I do that first, I know that I've set my day up right. And chances are, no matter what willpower loss I have at the end of the day when I'm exhausted, maybe I get a little bit more of a workout in or not, but at least I've started the day that way. And the chances are I'm going to continue through that momentum for the rest of the day. So I think planning and prioritizing is critical. But listen, guys, you are, and I'm stealing a tweet from my good friend Brett here, you are the most important asset to your business. Every investor, every mentor, every advisor, no matter how great of an idea, whatever your cure to cancer is, literally or figuratively it is you. It is your ability to execute this that is fundamental, and that is the asset. So invest in and take care of your asset just like you would if it were a bank account or a piece of equipment, right? I mean, that's really how you have to think of it. And you have the added benefit that all of this great work that you're putting in and all of this extra effort that you're getting out of the venture, you're going to reap those rewards for a lot longer period of time afterwards if you take care of yourself now. So prioritize personal health, prioritize mental health, and just make sure that you're treating the most important asset of your business the right way, and that's yourself.
Yeah, 100%. The last thing I'll say, honestly, maybe this is another topic for us for another day, but because you kind of talked about, urgent versus important, right? As you're doing tasks, you said the hardest thing, but also make sure it's the most important thing. Because way too often, I'm still guilty of this, is urgent. If it's urgent but not important, it's kind of prioritizing those tasks. So maybe we'll save that for another topic, because I think there's some tricks and approaches that work best for folks. But again, yes, get outside, take care of yourself. You invest in you, it's going to be surprised the return you get back on your business. So wisdom of the day, I guess.
Very well said, Brett. Okay, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, comment, follow us on LinkedIn, follow Brett and I on Twitter, reach out with any questions. And in the meantime, please take care of yourselves and please take care of your ventures.
Yes, cheers.
Cheers, everybody.